Today it is lecture number 11. I will talk about Bayes rule and its application. So Bayes rule is very much interesting in order to infer something. So that means some prior information you are having, and someone is giving based on that prior information, some activity is happening in a random experiment. Now, due to that event, you try to update something is happening further. So, if there is a random experiment, there you had some prior information. That means you can say that it might be your information or your initial belief. Initial belief also you can say that, but something happened before you. Something is happening. So once that thing is happening, so once you have already seen happening of that event, based on that you try to update your initial belief. So that updated belief that we will call it posterior belief. So all those relation between updated belief and prior belief, it is given by Bayes rule. So it is just one way, another way to what get benefit of conditional definition of conditional probability. So that's why now these days there is a separate branch of learning that people are calling it Bayesian learning, because it is very much subjective in approach. That's why it finds a lot of application. So Bayesian learning, even you can call it, there is a separate branch of statistics that we are calling it Bayesian statistics. So it is very much applicable in sense. So that's why people are very much interested. So coming to outline of today's lecture, first I will talk about Bayes rule, then I will go to discuss about few problems, and actually this one is the last class of this modules. I will talk about tomorrow also. I will talk about a lot of problem as well. So coming to Bayes rule or Bayes theorem, few, few book they are calling it Bayes theorem as well. So what is happening that in last class I had already explained that. So again I will come to say here, Bayes rule is actually talking about posterior and prior relation. That is prior that it is calling it your initial belief or someone's initial belief, and based on that new event is happening in that random experiment. Based on that you are updating your initial belief, and in order to update you are getting a posterior belief or posterior probability. So that's where there is a definitely relation between posterior and prior. So prior it is initial and posterior once you have already seen one event. So that kind of thing. So what kind of thing will happen? So how we can relate these two things? So suppose we consider that we are having a random experiment, then definitely there would be a sample space. We did partitioning of that sample space. That means partitioning is your initial event, initial kind of event. That means you know about that random experiment and all the possible uh, outcome of that random experiment, that is defining sample space. Now you are having idea of sample space. So due to some initial belief, you come to divide that sample space in a partition way. That means you come across some partition of that sample space. So that one is the initial thing. Now once you have done all those things, then you come across to see one event. Event A is happening. So suppose one event A is happening. So due to happening of event A, is there any change in the probability of all these member of partition? That means all these your initial events BIs. So is there any change? So we will try to measure that. So that that probability we are calling it posterior. That means change in probability that we measure it by. That means event A is already happened. So based on that, do we see any update in the probability of BIs? So that updated probability we are calling it probability of BI given A. That is conditional probability of BI given A. So probability of BI, it is already given. Now you try to update it through this formula. Again you apply conditional probability. That means how much of BI is happening in A divided by probability of BI. What is the chance of BI happening in A divided by probability of A? So now what is it? Now there is a scenario is that directly probability of A would be not given here. So we need to calculate probability of A. How we will calculate? Based on the prior belief. That means based on the partition of the sample space. So how we do that? We do that. That's where I had already covered total probability. So probability of A, the event A, what is happening once we have already designed a partition of sample space. So that we calculate through total probability theorem. That means probability of A is equal to probability of this probability. This we are calling it total probability. Okay, and this it is what? It is just multiplication through multiplication rule. We try to write this probability of bi intersection A as a product of probability of bi. That means initial belief into probability of A given pi. So these things would be given here, and we have to calculate this updated probability. So just you remember that probability of bi is your initial probability. That means you know about that. And probability of bi given A is your posterior probability. So you can write it here like this way. So bi is your prior probability, prior probability. That means initial belief. Prior means initially. Before the event is happening, it is already given you. You know about that, and so either you know or through some kind of way you come to know that. Some kind of adjustment you come to know that. Okay, and based on that, uh, you try to update probability of bi. So this one is updated. Whether you can call it updated probability, but generic name is posterior probability. This one is the posterior probability. Okay, so you might have already seen the meaning of Bayes rule. What does it talk about? Anyone is having any issue? I think this rule you might have already studied in plus two as well. I think in high school as well you have already seen it. So further, I would like to say that Bayes rule is often used for inference. What would be inference? So there are a number of causes, the number of causes that may result in a certain effect. So event A, you can call it, it is affect, and this part member of partition, you can call it, these are the causes. If you try to talk in outcome basis, then you can call it the BIs are causes. How many causes due to that that leads to an effect? If some effect is happening, so we observe that. Suppose we observe some kind of effect, and we wish to infer uh, what is the probability of cause that leads to that effect. If we have already seen some effect, so that is the scenario. So you can say that if you try to talk about Bayes rule in a very practical common life, then you can say that posterior probability is talking about relation between cause and effect. So that is the relation. So every if you observe any kind of disease, definitely there would be certain different certain causes. So many relations we will try to see from that perspective. So the events what leads to partition of sample space b1 b2 bi, these are associated with the causes, and event A we call it effect. What is effect? So for that intuitive way, if you try to uh, go for intuitive way, I have taken one situational explanation here. What is happening? Something same. I am talking again further talking about Bayes rule. So suppose we have some random experiment, or we have already performed some random experiment in which the event of interest form a partition. That means this one is our initial belief, or somehow we come across to know that there is about random experiment, and due to some hint we try to partition that sample space, uh, and those we are calling it event of interest. Now the prior probability of these events PIs, that partition it is of that sample space, we are calling it, members are B1 B2 up to Bn. So n number of partition. Okay, n number of members are there in partition. The prior probability of this event pi, because we have done this partition, that means we know the prior probability. That means we know probability of BIs, each BI. We know because we have done that. And are the probability, these BIs are the probability of the event before the experiment is already performed. So before the experiment, this probability of BI, because we have done that, so we know about that. It is our thing. Okay. Now, suppose that the experiment is performed and we are informed that event A is occurred. That effect is already, we have already seen that effect. If something is happening, effect is already uh, happened. Then, is there any change in the probability of PI? So that probability we are calling it posterior. The posterior probability are the probability. So this probability, posterior probability of, okay, wrongly I have written it here. It would be probability of Bi given K. Bi given A. Is that wrongly written? It is. The posterior probability are the probability of the event in the partition, probability of Bi given A, because A, you have already seen that once this experiment is performed. So given this additional information, this is the additional information that it is talking about happening of A. So after that, we do we see any update in the probability of Bi? So that updated probability is a probability of Bi given A. So all these relation is uh, given by B. I have taken one example. I haven't taken any numeric quantity. I will talk about what is the problem actually. So one example very famous in medical diagnostic test. That example it is talking about a patient to be given a blood test. There is a patient, he has given a blood test. That blood test is designed to detect the presence of cancer cells, whether that person is having cancer cell or not. So that is the problem. Okay. So to detect cancer cell. Okay. So we are defining things here. Suppose there are two possibilities, two causes or a state of patient. Two causes would be, first cause would be the patient has a cancer, second would be the patient doesn't have a cancer. So there would be two cause, either uh, two state or two cause, either that patient would have cancer or would not have cancer. So there are two possibilities. Let f represent the effect, that the result of test, effect of the result, that result, that result test is positive. F is the effect that test is positive, that the test indicate presence of cancer cell. So this is the effect, that means the test is positive. Okay, now if the test is performed, after test is performed, we can observe effect F. Both doctor and patient will be interested in the probability that the patient indeed has the cancer suggested by the cells presence. Then question is, what is probability of E1 given F? That means it is already given that due to test you come to know that the test is positive. That means that person is having cancer. Then what is probability that uh, patient died due to cancer? Sorry, the patient has cancer. One test is positive. So there is a situation. It is not always possible that a machine can give 100% accurate test. There is a false positive and false negative situation as well. So those situation you might have already seen that false positive kind of things. So those things are also coming. So that's why age rule is very important in diagnostic test. Another example I would like to take here, forensic identification. There you have to identify a criminal based on given information. Say a law court is confronted with a case of identification. A man is accused of a crime. Suppose a man is accused of a crime, and the sole evidence at issue is evidence from a tiny segment of DNA found at the crime scene that matches the accused DNA. So what is question here? So here we can see that you can do partition here. E1 is talking about accused left the DNA at the crime, and second member of partition would be accused was not the source of the crime scene DNA. Whatever DNA found in crime scene, either accused, E1 is accused was the source of DNA, or accused was not source of the DNA. Complete exclusive kind of partition of the sample space. Now we introduce new event, that is, it says that accused DNA matches from the crime scene DNA. This is the event. Accused DNA matches that from the crime scene DNA. Then we have to calculate probability of E1 given F. That is, how many potential suspects were examined before a match was found. That means it is saying that you have already know that accused DNA matches from the crime scene DNA. Then what is the probability that accused left the DNA at the crime scene? What is the probability? So this is this one was initial belief. You can if you try to have somehow now probability of what is the probability that accused left the DNA at crime scene. So that means probability of E, it would be your initial belief, but initial belief you might be wrong or you might be right. Don't know. But after the test is happening, you are trying to calculate update probability, and update probability is going to increase. If definitely that accused might have left the DNA at crime scene, then you might be very much sure that what this probability would be higher. If suppose this assumption even that accused had left the DNA at the crime scene, it might be wrong. Suppose it might be wrong, then definitely there would be decrease in the value of posterior probability. So that means that we F might not be accused, not a criminal. He might not have performed crime. But why? Because posterior probability is going down. So that's why all these things are very much essential. Bayes rule is playing very important role in case of forensic identification as well. So these two are very much practical application of this rule. Apart from that, if you come to communication system, all you are from electronics background, so you can see a lot of communication system. So suppose very simplest communication system is binary communication system. That means your input would be either zero or one, zero or one, or output would be also zero or one. So binary kind of input out, binary input output system you can say that. So in a communication system, we consider that first the input, user input, there is a user input either 0 or 1 into the system, and corresponding signal is transmitted to receiver. Corresponding, so user at the source input 0 or 1, and that signal uh, transmitted to receiver, uh, receiver. Okay. And second, the receiver makes a decision about what was the input to the system. Receiver doesn't have concrete idea what user has said. Receiver is receiving signal. Based on that, he try to infer what was the input to the system based on signal received. So whatever that receiver will receive, based on that he try to infer what signal might be inputted there in the user side. Okay, suppose that user send 0 with probability 1 minus p, then definitely 1 would be probability with p. Why? Because it is a binary kind of input, either 0 or 1. So if you're sending 0 with probability 1 minus p, then 1 would be with probability. Any question? Anyone is having any question? Okay, slide is visible or not? I think there was some network issue. Anyone respond? Prashant, are you listening me? Prashant. Okay, Chirsagar, are you listening me or not? Okay, I think there was some network issue, I think. So. Are you able to see the slide? Yeah. So I come back. Suddenly I came to know. Actually, I don't. Now, just tell me whether slide is visible or not. Okay, I will share it again then. Now, is it visible? Okay, let me know. Actually, I don't know. I could not understood that how it was disconnected. I'm going forward. So I was here in binary communication system. Okay, so there is a communication system. First, the user sends. You know about communication system. There is what source. You can call it source, and there is a receiver. Okay, so source send either 0 or 1, and if it is a binary communication system, then also receiver will receive either 0 or 1. Okay, so this is the problem. This is the communication binary communication system. Okay, so in this communication system, first the user sends or inputs 0 or 1 into the system, and corresponding signal it would be transmitted through some media. It will be transmitted through some media. Second, the receiver makes a decision about what was the input to the system. Based on the signal is what it received. Suppose that the user sent 0. Here problem is now data is coming. Problem is clear to everyone or not? Okay. Okay. I'm going forward. So data is given here. It says that user sends uh, 0 with priority 1 minus p and 1 with priority p. Why? Because we know that there are only two kind of input. Either it would be 0 or it would be 1. So that's why binary input can binary. That's way. So 0 if it is going with priority 1 minus p, then 1 definitely it would have priority p. And suppose that the uh, receiver makes random decision error with priority e. So e is the if, or simply you can say that epsilon as well. So this one is epsilon. So probability of making random error decision error is e by receiver. All these are given information. So if this situation, if you try to look into in the graphical picture, you can see that. So this is the source. Source is sending 0 with priority 1 minus p and 1 with priority p. Now this is the receiver. Receiver is here 0 is sent, then receiver is making decision error by assuming that 1 received with priority epsilon. And if here receiver, then receiver is if one has been sent from sender or user, then receiver is uh, assuming receiver has received 0 and making a random error that it has been epsilon. This one random decision error is epsilon. Okay, this is the random decision error. So all these are given here. So your question is coming that we have to find which input is more probable given that receiver has output 1. So output receiver is receiving 1. So we have to find that probability of uh, source, which one is more probable given that receiver has a 1. Assume that if every the input is equally likely. That means 0 or 1 both are having probability 0.5, equally likely 0.5. So we are defining few events here. We we call it let AI with the event input was AI. So all these are initial kind of things. Let BI with the event that receiver decision was I. Then we can simply say that A not A1. A naught means input was 0. A1 means input was 1. Okay, it forms a partition of sample of space of the input output pair. So probability that receiver output is 1, we can easily see that what would be this? It would be probability of B1. That means BI, it is talking about the event that receiver decision was I. That means receiver is saying I got 1. I receiver BI is saying that receiver got I, and decision was, or simply you can say that so that is the scenario. So B1, if you take it, then you can say that B1 you can calculate through this total probability theorem. And total probability theorem, it will say that uh, this probability of B1 into probability of A naught into probability of B1 given A naught plus probability of A1 into probability of B1 given A1. So we know that what is the probability of A naught? Probability of A naught is 0.5 or half. You can say that, because there are only two inputs. So that's the probability of getting zero inputted. It would be half. Similarly, probability of getting one inputted, it would be half. So that's the way. And now, given that you know that A naught is A naught, it is that A naught occurs, and what is the probability of B1 given A naught? It would be simply epsilon. That means probability of decision error, probability of making error. Similarly, probability of given that A1, what is so probability of B1 given A1, it would be 1 minus epsilon. If you simplify, it would be half. Simply you can calculate like this way. Now, apply the Bayes rule. Our question is that we have to solve this question. It says that equivalently we can say that this question is simply you would like to claim that which input is more probable given that receiver has outputted one output, that receiver observed one, got signal 1. So what is the probability? So that means we calculate that probability of A naught given B1. That means B1 we have already seen that the receiver received 1. Okay. So what is the probability of A naught? That means it might have come from source 0. That means user, it might have. So probability of A naught given B1, simply apply again Bayes rule, and if you calculate this one, it will be what? Epsilon. If you simplify, simplification is very much simple. It is probability of A naught is half probability of B1 given A naught is what? B1 given A naught, you can observe it here, it is epsilon. And what is probability of B1? We have already calculated half. So half will cancel out. We will have epsilon only. Similarly, probability of A1 given A2. So these are the posterior probability. You can calculate it. Probability of A1 is what? Half. And probability of B1 is also half. So half will cancel out. The remaining thing would be probability of B1 given A0. What is the probability of B1 given here? It would be A1. A1 is 1 minus epsilon. So that's the probability of A1 given B1 is 1 minus epsilon. Remember that what was the initial probability or initial belief or prior probability of A naught was half. Also prior probability of A1 was half. But after observing B1, we see there is an update in probability of A naught and A1. So these are the updated probability. But what we observe that if suppose epsilon is less than half, then what would happen? If epsilon is that making error, decision error is less than half, then input 1 is more likely than input 0. Why? If epsilon is less than half, then this quantity 1 minus epsilon would be greater than epsilon. That means what is this one? This one is talking about updated probability of input 1. Updated probability of input 1. Initial probability of input 1 would be was 1 by 2, but we come across to see that there is definitely some decision making error, and that error is less than half. So due to that, 1 minus epsilon definitely it would be greater than epsilon. Epsilon, that would be probability of that input updated probability of input 0. So that's way we can say that if epsilon is less than half, then we can say that input might be 1 or output 1. What receiver have obtained output 1, for that output input would be 1. That is the problem. Okay, I will take one more example, chess tournament example. Same, this problem we had already solved, but that time we had calculated total probability. We haven't calculated posterior probability. So now we will try to calculate some posterior probability or some change in belief. So what is how belief is changing? So initial, definitely it would be given here. So again, you enter a chess tournament where your probability of winning a game is 0.3 against half of the players. Those half of the player we are calling it type 1 player. Then we probability is 0.4 against quarter of the player, that those player we are calling it type 2 player. Then again probability is 0.5 against the remaining quarter of the players. Now, so this you can say that these are the initial situation, and that sample space you know about that. Now you observe, you perform that random experiment, you play a game against a randomly chosen opponent. So that means this event is happening now before you. This event is happening. Due to that, whether there would be some update in your belief, so you will try to see that. So suppose that you win. Suppose you win. Okay. After once you have already observed that you win, what is the probability that you had an opponent of type 1? What was that? That means what is the updated probability of type 1? Once you have already win. Okay, so let we are defining a partition of the sample space. So BI, we are calling it the event of playing with an opponent of type I. So due to that, from the given information, half of the player are in type 1 category. So that's the probability of B1 would be 0.5. Then next quarter of player are in type 2. So those we are calling it the probability of B2. So that's the probability would be 0.25. Now rest quarter of the player are falling in type 3. So that's why probability of B3 it would be 0.25. We got a proper partition of the sample space. So we are having a partition. Now after that we come across that you play a game against a randomly chosen opponent. Okay, so that uh, event we are calling it A. Let A be the event of winning. Okay, so we are defining let A be the event of winning. So by uh, given information here you come to, so your probability of winning against half of the player is 0.3. That means probability of it is already given that you are playing against type 1 people. So that's why these are conditional probability. Probability of A given it is 0.3. Probability of A given B2 is 0.4 due to this information. Probability of A given B3 is 0.5 due to this information. So all these are given information. Now we have to find this posterior probability. What does it talk about? So it is talking about uh, probability. You have, suppose you have already win, so that's way, that means you have already seen winning situation. So that means what is the probability that probability of b1 given a, you have to calculate probability of b1 given a. So probability of b1 is what? It is 0.5. Now do we see any change in posterior? This is updated probability of posterior probability. Do we see any change? So let us calculate that. So by using Bayes rule, probability that you had an opponent of type 1 is, it is given by probability of B1 given A, and you can simplify it, and if you calculate it is coming 0.4. That means your updated probability has been reviewed. Once you have already seen that you have on, so that you can observe that uh, there is a decrease in the posterior probability. It is less than 0.5. 0.5 was uh, prior probability of B1, the type 1 people. Now posterior probability is coming 0.4. Another few other things I will talk about Bayes theorem here. Do we have time? So I want to go actually in tutorial mostly I will talk about some more example on Bayes theorem. I will take here few example from what we call it independent, and one more things that I forget to mention in previous classes, that there is one condition of independent event. Now there is another kind of independent event that we are calling it conditionally independent. So one, if you are having two events, how we define a independency between these two events? Either there are two approaches that I had already discussed. So what you do, first approach is very elementary. What you do, you find the conditional probability of suppose any of these two events. You have already consider that any one of these two occurs first. Suppose B is occurring first. So due to that, you will first calculate probability of B given A given B1 B, and we calculate this conditional probability, and this conditional probability, if it is equal to probability of A, that means post. Now you can here you have already gone through Bayes rule, so you can call it, if suppose condition that this posterior probability is equal to higher probability, that means there is no change in the probability. There is no change in the belief. Then you can simply say that why it is happening, because these two are independent. That's why it is happening. So one definition was. Another definition of independent event was simply find the joint probability, and if the joint probability is equal to product of the corresponding prior probability, then you can simply say that these two events are actually independent. So this one was the just definition of independent event. Now another concept is coming here, that we are calling it conditionally independent. So suppose there is third event C. So whether event B and A and B are dependent to each other or independent to each other, given third event C. That means we are having three events A, B, C. So we will talk about conditional. So if you are having like this way, then here we will talk about conditional independent. So what is meaning of conditional independent? This one is also important concept. Conditional independent. Okay. So how we define? So here what we will do? We will try to find just we try to see conditional independent between uh, A and B. We are not seeing between A and C or B and C. We are not trying to. If there are three events, then independency we can talk about pairwise independent. But here we are not talking about pairwise. We are talking about conditional independent. So between A and B only. So if you try to uh, see conditional independence between A and B, so what you will do? You can find joint probability of A and B conditioned by C. That means C, you have already seen that. And if you observe that this joint product of A and B given C, it is equal to product of conditional probability of A given C into conditional probability of B given C. Then we can say that A and B are conditionally independent due to C. Conditionally independent due to C. So this is the definition of conditionally independent. This is the definition of conditional independent. You can say like that. So this is little bit different from independent. It is definition of conditional independent. Okay, so this kind of problem I will solve it here. So here I am taking a random experiment where we are defining the event, and we will try to see whether these events would be independent or not. So a ball is selected from a bag or ear. You can say that ear or bag, both are similar word. So a bag containing two black balls that we have numbered 1 and 2, two white ball that we have numbered 3 and 4. We have given number to those balls as well. So first 1 and 2 given to black ball, and 3 and 4 given to white ball. Now we are defining event A, B, C like this way. That event A is black ball are selected. Event B is talking about even numbered ball are selected. And C is talking about number of ball is greater than 2. Now tell me, without calculation of in prior and posterior probability, can we say that event AB are dependent or event AC are anything? Can you say that dependency of AC or AB? Anyone? Can you say that? Just try to see the pattern of just try to see the pattern of event, and can you anyone can comment over that whether AC would be dependent or independent, or AB would be dependent or independent? Who would like to comment? Abhishek, can you say something about event A and B? don't calculate probability. Just use your common sense with the help of I have told that probability is common sense plus something more. So can you say anything about event A and B? Abhishek, are you listening me? I never find you anytime you never try to answer any question. Okay, who would like to answer? Who would like to answer? Event? Yes. Yeah, Sarang. Yes. Yeah, fine. How you come across to know that? Oh, yeah, very nice. And what about event A and C? Just that answer is even simpler than what you have already explained. If you try to see event A and C, do you see any dependency or independency between these two? No, no, no. You just could not see that. What is the relation between A and C? You just closely see that there is no common between A and C. There is no common between A and C. A and C. A is totally talking about black balls, and C is talking about white ball. So due to that, what is both are mutually exclusive to each other. So a happening of one kills the happening of other. So that means it is talking about happening of other as well. That means happening of A is simply saying that C is not happening. So in that perspective, A and C both are dependent to each other. Both are dependent. So A and C would be dependent. A and B are independent. Okay. It is already 45. So other things I will discuss in next class in next tutorial. Many problem I will solve in next tutorial. Regarding attendance, put your roll number there here in comment box, and thank you for attending today's lecture. If you have any question, you can raise that question, and also you can put there in Google Classroom as well.